Thank you for joining us today. My name is Diana Dane. It's a great honor to be with our community leader who care deeply about justice and public safety and the future of our diverse community. Our district attorney, Jeff Rosen here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And also joining me today is our Indian community leader, Satish, who's been involved in the civic leadership and the community heavily.
Sure. Thank you, Jeff. Santa Clara County is one of the most diverse regions in the nation. The district attorney carries both legal authority as well as moral responsibility. So this conversation is not just about the law enforcement. It is about priorities. It is about justice with dignity. So District Attorney Jeff Rosen, thank you for being here with us. We look forward to a thoughtful and meaningful conversation.
Yes. So the first question is, what is your priority right now? When you think about the public safety and justice, what matters most to you?
What matters most to me is keeping crime low and making it lower. So this year, San Jose was once again named the safest big city in the United States, and Santa Clara County is one of the very safest counties in the United States. But we're not resting on our laurels. We're looking to do everything we can to make crime lower. So in terms of specific kinds of crime, we're very focused on violent crime, things like smash and grab robberies, domestic violence, gang assaults. And then we're also focused on economic crimes. There's a lot of different kinds of frauds out there, whether it's real estate fraud or securities fraud. And then finally, different kinds of property crimes. So organized retail theft and shoplifting are things that we focus on. And the background for all of this is making sure that the DA's office and law enforcement has the resources, has the budget to be able to protect the community.
So you have supported programs that divert nonviolent offenders into treatment instead of jail. So how do you personally balance being tough on crime while also being fair and compassionate?
That's a very good question. And I think that for low-level offenders, so not someone who stabbed someone, but maybe someone who shoplifted, and maybe it's the first time they've shoplifted. So for low-level offenders, for first-time offenders, I think there's a good opportunity to help them change their course, and by giving them something, not just going to jail, but some kind of community service, giving them an opportunity to make restitution to the victim, is a way of getting them to change their behavior and not commit more crimes. So I think it's a balance. Look, I think when there's more serious crimes committed, whether that's burglary or robbery, then I think it's more important to be fair and to hold people accountable and to protect the community. I'm a compassionate person, but I think that in the criminal justice system, there's more compassion for first-time low-level offenders and a little bit less compassion as the crimes become more serious.
Great, yes. So Santa Clara has a large population of immigrants and also the Asian American community.
Yes.
And many families worry about safety, especially during the Asian hate discrimination. And what would you say to them directly, and how can you protect this community?
You're correct that we have a very large immigrant population in our county. 40% of the people that live in Santa Clara County were not born in the United States, one of the highest percentages of any area in the United States. And all of the immigrants here, particularly our immigrants from Asia, have done tremendous things to enrich our community, to make it a nicer place to live, to add to the culture and the diversity. What I would say to immigrant communities and to Asian immigrant communities is law enforcement is here to serve you. We serve everybody who's in our community. We want everyone to be safe, and we want everyone to feel safe. I'm very aware of the increase in hate crimes against Asians, particularly during COVID, and we reacted very quickly here in the DA's office. We very quickly put together a public service announcement about 1 minute long that was played hundreds of thousands of times throughout the Bay Area. And the message that we sent, and when I say we, it's with the diverse staff from our DA's office. Our staff looks very much like this community that we serve. We said, look, for victims of hate crimes, we want you to call the police. We're here for you. We see you. We want to help you. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed to report this to the police. Number two, for potential perpetrators who think I'm going to knock an old Asian person to the ground, or I'm going to say you brought the China flu here and then punch you in the face, I want you to know that we will find you, we will prosecute you, and we will send you to jail. And number three, the message here was everyone who lives in this community is entitled to fair and respectful and equal treatment under the law. And so I want the Asian American communities here and our immigrant communities to know that. And it just happens that a week ago we brought Professor Russell Jung, who began the Stop Anti-Asian Hate nonprofit group during the height of COVID. And he came to our office on a training day where we have our whole staff here. And he talked to us all for about an hour about different kinds of crimes against primarily Chinese Americans, the feelings of that community, and what we in law enforcement can do to do a better job. And so I'm very sensitive to this issue. I think that when you're in such a diverse place as Santa Clara County, we all need to get along with each other. There's not one majority race or majority religion. It's a very mixed place. And so we need to respect one another and be compassionate to one another.
Great. So California and Santa Clara County have policies that limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement.
Yes.
So some people say this protection immigrant families, others worry it would hurt public safety. So can you explain what legal basis allows California and Santa Clara County to take this approach? Second, what protections are in place for immigrants under these policies? Do you believe these policies make our communities safer or less safe? Why? And how do you respond to the people who feel that not cooperating fully with federal authorities could negatively impact the law enforcement?
Those are very good and important questions. And let me answer it this way.
Okay.
Sometimes I think when we talk about immigration, it becomes very black and white. You're either for unlimited immigration and you don't want, and everybody can come here whenever they want, and the border doesn't mean anything, or you don't want any immigrants here, you hate immigrants, you think that they're all criminals. And I don't think either of those things are true. I think something in the middle is more where the truth is. So as the district attorney, my role is to protect all the residents who live here, whether they're documented, whether they're undocumented, whether they've lived in this area for 200 years, whether they just came here last week. So in order to do that, we need people to trust law enforcement, to trust the police, and to trust the DA's office. And when I say trust, what I mean is almost every significant crime that is committed in our county is solved because someone calls the police or talks to the police or talks to the DA's office and says, I saw something, I heard something. They're only going to do that if they think that the police and the prosecutor's office will be fair. Okay? Now, fair doesn't mean sending someone to prison for 20 years because they took a pack of chewing gum. Okay? Fair doesn't mean sending someone to jail for 3 days after they stab someone. Okay? So it's got to be fair. And when it comes to immigration and immigrant communities, I want those people to also trust the police. Now, the law in California does not allow local law enforcement to cooperate or share information with ICE, with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. So we don't share information with them. We never ask people what their document status is when we're talking to them. The police don't ask, we don't ask. It's really not a concern of ours. We mentioned that there's a lot of immigrants in Santa Clara County. It turns out that immigrants in the United States, whether documented or undocumented, commit crimes at a lower rate than people that were born in the United States. Okay. So when people say, I want immigrants to be more like the rest of us, I often think, well, okay, but not so fast. Like I like that immigrants are not committing crimes at the same rate. But that number of immigrants committing crimes, it's not zero. Okay, it's not zero. And so the approach that I believe is the right approach is for individuals that do not have permission to be in the United States and then committed crimes while in the United States, yeah, then they're going to be removed or there'll be removal proceedings. But really for people that haven't caused any problems since they've been here, who are working, supporting their families, I feel like live and let live. And that's not a public safety issue. See, I'm focused on public safety. So if you're here and you're not documented and you just broke into somebody's house, then I'm going to prosecute you. You're going to go to prison, and then you should be deported. That's not really what a nice guest does, is comes to your house and steals something. But if you're here and you're not documented, but you're not bothering anybody, then I think we just sort of leave those people alone. Now, in terms of how crime is affected, I think that if our approach here was to share information with ICE and to go out with ICE agents and to round up people working in restaurants or in agricultural fields or at the Home Depot, I think we would very quickly lose the trust of many people in our area, and we wouldn't be able to protect people. At the same time, I think a view that says, I don't care what crime somebody's committed, I don't care if they're undocumented, they get to stay here. I don't really believe that so much either. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that often the victims of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants are other undocumented immigrants are the victims of those crimes. So I think that a balanced approach is good. And I think that the balanced approach also reflects, I think, what most people think, which is immigration is a good thing for the United States. Immigrants, we've been we're a country of immigrants. Immigrants help us become a better country. And at the same time, if you're living in this country, you should follow the law and not commit crimes.
That's right. Senator Scott Wiener recently had a bill about that, California with the IRS. So what do you think about that?
Which one was this? He had something about masks. He had something about is it
the local law enforcement doesn't have to cooperate with the
right. Well, the law is that local law enforcement does not have to cooperate with federal immigration authorities because immigration is a federal responsibility, and so it's not constitutional. And the courts have found this to be true. It's not constitutional for the federal government to make the states do the work of the federal government, and I think that's something that's important. I just should say to the people that are watching us that at least in Santa Clara County, which has about 2 million people in it, for the most part, the way in which ICE has worked in our county is essentially they're picking up people who are being released from the jail. So they're more focused. They're focusing on individuals that have committed crimes. We can have a debate as to whether those are crimes that are serious enough for someone to be deported, but they're focusing on individuals that have committed crimes, not people working in restaurants or people, working at construction sites. And I think that's a good distinction. And the other thing I should just say about immigration is I've been a prosecutor for almost my entire professional career. As a local prosecutor, I work a lot with federal law enforcement, the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, the Homeland Security investigations. And we work well together to protect the community from the bad guys. And I think what's happened during this debate about ICE that's personally painful to me is we've been pitted a little bit against each other. Like we're against the ICE.
That's how public say that.
Right. And I kind of think of federal law enforcement and local law enforcement as being on the same team, wearing different uniforms, but being on the same team. And I think that this issue with ICE has caused there to be some a little more tension. But I would say that the federal authorities understand what our role is. They know that we're not going to assist them or cooperate. They also know that if someone commits a crime in Santa Clara County, whether they're documented or undocumented, whether they're a local police officer or an ICE agent or a teacher or an engineer or an FBI agent, the DA's office is going to investigate and prosecute them if they committed a crime. And they understand that.
All right, thank you. That your office has emphasized the prevention and youth program. So how important is the early intervention in reducing the crime long term? And can you share the example of something that has worked well?
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's what one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, said. I think that's very true. We find, I think as DA, if all I did was go to community groups and say, we have a high conviction rate. Oh, there was a burglary in your neighborhood. We solved it and we sent that person to jail. Okay, that's good. But I think what people want to hear is, what are you doing to help prevent me from being a victim in the first place? And so these prevention efforts, particularly focused on young people, are very important. So a good example of this, we have a youth task force in South County, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy. We work with the police department, with the schools, and with community-based organizations. And when teenagers don't come to school, think about joining a gang, start to use drugs, we work with those young people and with their families. And instead of just filing a criminal charge against the young person, particularly if it's their first offense, we move them towards, and their family, towards services, towards restitution to the victim, to try to get that young person on the right path. It's not only that it's much cheaper financially to make success this way, it's also just better for that young person and their family and the whole society. Like, if we can redirect a young person away from gangs and back in school, that's much better than if we had to prosecute this person, send them to jail or prison for years, and then maybe when they get out of jail or prison, they've changed. We spent a lot of money. There's been a lot of conflict and harm just in that community and that family. And it's harder to change someone the older they get and the more involved in the criminal justice system they are. It's easier to make that change before someone has done something too wrong or too bad. So we focus a lot of attention on it, and we have a lot of success in South County. And I hope to do it in other parts of our county,
Nice.
but we started in the South.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So some minority communities worry about the bias in the justice system.
Yes.
So what steps your office has taken
Yeah.
and preventing that, or the prejudice some of them have,
Yes.
and as well as what steps are proactively required more
Yeah.
to take care of that?
Well, there's bias in all parts of our society, in schools, in hospitals, in real estate, and yes, also in the criminal justice system. We are aware of the biases, and we want to make sure that there's nothing we're doing in the DA's office that is making those biases worse or making the disproportionality in our system worse. So let me tell you what we have done. We've taken many people in our staff to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles to learn about the Holocaust and how law enforcement became involved with the Nazi Party and how that's not the role of law enforcement. We've taken our staff to Alabama, to the Legacy Museum that Brian Stevenson started. It kind of tells the history of this country through slavery, through the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, Jim Crow. And again, it's an effort to try to educate and sensitize us about issues of race, of gender, and other kinds of discrimination. And, as I mentioned, we just last week brought Russell Jung here to talk about the experience of Chinese immigrants to this country. So we're always working to try to recognize the biases we have and to set them aside. Everyone has biases. I mean, the thing about an implicit bias is it could be a little bit difficult to detect.
Right.
So we want to try to be as aware as we can and to set these things aside. We've done some studies with it. Happens that at Stanford, there's the leading professor really in the world about implicit bias is Jennifer Eberhard, and she's come and trained and talked with our staff. In addition, there's things that we do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis to make sure that people are not being biased. For instance, before it was the law to do race-blind issuing, we did a number of practices or I would say studies in our office where we gave certain prosecutors reports that had the race of individuals involved, and then we gave other prosecutors reports of the same kind of crimes, but with the races redacted. And then we would see, is there a difference in how the cases are filed? Is there a difference in what happens in court? There was not. I felt good, thank God. But now, as a matter of practice, we do a lot of our issuing without knowledge of the race of the individuals. And I think that beyond that, I want to have an excellent office. So to have an excellent office, I think an excellent office will be a diverse office, because if you really give everyone an opportunity to become a prosecutor, it would seem strange that like all of the best prosecutors, they're all one race or one gender. Like that would be odd. So it doesn't surprise me that we have a very diverse office, because prosecutors come in all shapes and sizes, all different colors. And I think having a diverse group around also makes us focus on what matters, which is what is the crime that was committed, what is that person's record, how can we help the victim, and we're not sort of thinking about, well, they're from Gilroy, or they're Black, or they're Hispanic, or it's just not, because when you're in a room with a diverse group of people, like nobody's a majority there. And so, but what we all are prosecutors. So let's focus on our role.
So I think we appreciate it.
Yeah, so glad you have a diverse team that
For sure.
serve our community.
100%.
So we actually started Asian American Stories 3 years ago and focused on bring the diverse community together and tell our Asian American stories.
Yes.
Because we think it's really important to have our voice not just being seen, just also being heard. So that actually is very successful the first years, and our theme was all of us belong here. And second year's theme is my gift to America. And third year is this year, the theme is coming to America. So do you believe the storytelling played a very important role in bridging the government and public trust?
Absolutely. And I have some possible ideas for Asian American stories
great.
that you may
Please.
want to tell. There is a wonderful organization called NAPIPA, the National Association of Asian and Pacific Islander Prosecutors. There are chapters all over the United States. I'm proud to say that it began here in Santa Clara County with prosecutors in our office. And I think that many of them have wonderful stories to tell about how they decided to become a prosecutor or to become a judge, and what that meant for the Asian American community and what it meant for their family. First of all, I think that storytelling is very important. Human beings, wherever they are from, are wired to want to hear stories. I mean, when you're a child, you want to hear a bedtime story.
Right.
And so I think that often stories are a more powerful way of moving people, of getting to the truth, than facts and figures, right? I can tell you the percentage of our office that are Asian American prosecutors. It's 23%.
Wow, that's great.
But as interesting a figure as that is, it would be more impressive if you talk to them and they spoke about how it is that they came to do this work. So I think storytelling is incredibly important, and I think that really the best stories are stories with that the theme is universal, but the facts and details are very specific, very specific. So, the many immigrant groups have coming to America stories. The best stories are about a particular immigrant, their family, and what their struggles were and how they overcame them. Whether they're from China or from India or from France or from Germany, some of the experiences, there is a commonality to those experiences. And so I think the best stories are rooted in a particular place and a particular community, but they have a universal message. So I think coming to America is a wonderful theme for the stories. And I really do think that one of the things that separates the United States from other countries is the relatively open and welcoming attitude towards immigrants. And I know these attitudes ebb and flow. I understand that. But there is a certain baseline of acceptance that doesn't exist in other places. Even just with, say, language. Having an accent in America is not like, oh, you can't get a job if you have an accent, or people are constantly correcting you or something like it. It's not viewed that way. There are other countries, I'm not trying to criticize them, where just it's very important that you speak exactly the way everyone speaks. And the way we Americans, it's like, we figure out a way to communicate with one another. And so I think it's very important to hold up these stories. And I also like this idea of like my gift to America, because sometimes people think that immigrants are taking from America and not giving or not adding to America. And so I think that, again, you can give people facts and figures and say, well, look, counties that have high immigrant populations have higher domestic, are wealthier, have better schools, have lower crime. You can tell people that, but it's not the same as hearing the story of somebody and their family who struggled to get here because the country they lived in, they didn't have the opportunities, how they're so grateful to be here, and how they're doing community service for, people in America, or how they've started a business and how they've become successful and how they're giving back. I think those kinds of stories are so important for non-immigrants, and I think they're very empowering for immigrants to say, like, I am an American, and I've brought things to this country.
Yes, especially our Asian Americans.
Yes.
Many of them are so shy to tell their
Yes.
story. So this is so important.
Yeah, there's a little bit of I don't want to seem like I'm bragging, or, I know that, sometimes you can take up too much space in a situation. You can talk too much, and we say, oh, you shouldn't talk so much. But, other times, the sin that you're committing is you're not taking up enough space.
That's true.
Like you're not. You should be talking more. You should be participating more. Like we want to hear from you. And so I think that there's different people have different cultural backgrounds, but I want to hear the Asian American stories, and I think that good stories come from everywhere.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, District Attorney Jeff Rosen, thank you for your valuable time
Yes.
and service to the country,
Yes.
and not only to the county what you have done. You have shown immense kind of I would say, a human touch, the way, the empathy and the compassionate you have done, especially for Indian community, and dealing with certain critical things which is very valuable to us.
True.
So in Asian American stories, we often say that justice is not only about laws, it is about people, it is about every family, every business, every immigrant journey, every young person finding their path.
Yeah, it's a story behind it. It's not about people. It's a story behind it. So it's so important. We officially want to invite you to our Asian American Story Award ceremony on May the 9th.
Okay.
And
Yes.
also invite your office to be a supporter for our Asian American Stories.
Okay. Please send me the information, and
Sure.
I'll make every effort to come.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you. Take
Thank
it
you.
easy.